Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please give a big Mad Monster Atlanta welcome to Lauren, LaVera, and Elliot Fullam! Alright, well, thank you both for joining us here in Atlanta this weekend and for being here for this Q&A.
Thank you for having us.
So since I last saw you in North Carolina a couple months ago, there's been a re-release of Terrifier 2 a few weeks ago, which did really well again. Let's go ahead and jump into how you first both became involved with Terrifier 2.
Okay, so I was already a fan of the very first movie, and one day, so like auditions were slow, so my dad actually looked at a website called Actors Access. And we saw Terrifier 2, and I go, no way, we love that movie. So I submitted a picture of my face like this. And I got my very first self-tape audition for it, where I was reading the lines, and then I got a call back. And that's where I met Lauren for the very first time. We did a chemistry read, and I thought I did really, really good. Literally right when we walked out, my dad and I, we hugged each other like, wow, that was like one of the best auditions I've ever done in my life. And then we didn't hear back for weeks, and wow, I guess I didn't get the role. And then I got another self-tape where I did a screen test, where all I did was scream. Then my final audition, the fourth audition, was an audition at producer's house. And it was probably the most nervous I ever was in my life. But it all worked out.
Yeah, I can say that Elliot was great because I was there, I saw it. I just, like any other audition, my rep sent it to me. I actually hadn't seen the first Terrifier when I auditioned for it. I did see it. I saw Art the Clown on Netflix because I'm always looking for new horror films, and I would always pass that picture like, what's going on with that? I just never got around to watching it. And when I auditioned for it, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. My scenes were like scenes with my mom, scenes with my brother. So I was like, oh, it's a family drama. This is great. And then I had my final audition, which was in person. And I auditioned with Casey, who booked the role of Allie, and another girl. And of course with Elliot, and I was just like kind of shooting the shit with Damien and Samantha Scafidi. She was our reader there. It was really cool to meet her. And I was the last one there, and Damien's like, oh, so like, what do you think of like Casey? Do you think she did a good job? Do you think we should book her for Allie? I was like, you're asking me, the actor? Why are you asking me this? And I was like, I love actors. I was like, yeah, she was great. Like they were all great. Like she was great. Like book her, just yeah. And he was like, oh yeah, you got the part by the way. And I was like, oh. So that never happens by the way. They never tell you the day of. So it was so bizarre. And I remember even getting the picture with Elliot, and of course meeting Justin that day, who was Elliot's dad. He's probably out there somewhere. I love you, Justin. And then Justin taking a picture of the two of us, and I was like, oh shit, we look like siblings, and it was just like a match made in sibling heaven. I thought.
So can you both talk a bit about working with Damien and what he's like as a director, and you know how much creative freedom are you allowed in bringing your characters to life?
I think Damien is one of the coolest, sweetest, laid-back people you could ever meet. But he does have a very, very clear vision of what he wants, which is something I'll always respect. But he is a very collaborative director, and he lets David do his fun takes with the glasses and stuff. It's fun, really fun working with him. He's pretty good. Not bad. Pretty good.
I obviously echo that, and he absolutely has a very clear vision. But he does a lot of takes, guys. When I tell you, like, we did a lot, but I actually preferred that because I was like, oh well, he's bound to get a good take, and out of the hundreds that we just fucking did. But what I also love is like we'll do the thing, and then during the final takes, he'll be like, all right, Law, do whatever you want. See, maybe you'll find something cool, and we'll do it. And there have been times where I've improvised and kept in the script, or in the final product, which is great. So I really love that freedom. I love that creative freedom, and I love that he gives us the opportunity to run with it. Because sometimes you might know the lines and say them a million times, and they might feel contrived after a while. So it's good to kind of get that, get the muscles flowing, and he lets us do that, and I love that he gives us the freedom to do that.
Now, you both have some pretty intense scenes with David as Art. Can you talk a little bit about working with David, and what's kind of the most, well, for each of you, what was kind of your most challenging, both physically and I guess also mentally, in the movie?
Honestly, the most mentally grueling, physically challenging part for me was simply falling down out of everything. like there's one scene where I trip and fall backwards. I do not know why. I was so bad at that. I need to practice falling down more. And then there was one other scene where I was running out of the house where I had to run down steps, and I kept having to do multiple takes because the steps were icy. I didn't want to slip and fall. And that was about it for the challenging hard parts. But of course, I mean, we filmed throughout nights, well, late hours and stuff. But I think it added to the movie for sure. And David's such a sweet dude. He'll be in the full Art the Clown getup and everything, and then doing all of his stuff, all of his Art the Clown stuff, and then cut. So it's in between scenes. So was everything all good? I was all good. Maybe he'll do a fart joke or something, and
so many fart jokes.
Yeah. So we're currently we had a fart battle for Terrifier 2, and I think I won. I probably, in my opinion, he says otherwise. But Terrifier 3, we had to bring that back.
I absolutely love Dave. I'm sure a lot of the people here have met him. He's just such a great guy, and he's a really easy scene partner to work with. Again, very collaborative. He gives you the freedom to, express yourself. But at the same time, he's kind of a dick, and he will try to break you during the scene, especially a serious scene. He'll try to make you laugh. And I'm like, dude, and obviously I will do it back because fuck you. What was the second part of the question? Oh, challenging. Obviously it was a very physically demanding role. Anybody who has met me knows it's no secret that I am not a fan of the costume. It was not comfortable. But I did love doing the majority of my own stunts. I really enjoyed it. And that was challenging. But I would say the hardest scene for me had nothing to do with physicality. It was our scene in your room. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a sound issue with the house because we filmed in an actual house. So, and it was an emotionally demanding scene because we're we're talking about our father, and we would have to hold when the noise would go off, and we'd have to just look at each other miserably and just wait, and then pick it up again, and that was tough. We were miserable by the end of it, and then the noise would come on out of nowhere, and we just groan oh Jesus Christ. But so that was probably the most challenging scene, and I'd say that. It was a pain in the ass.
That damn sound.
That damn sound, dude. That fucking house that I'm sure was haunted.
Definitely haunted.
They were fucking with us. They definitely were. Sorry for the children in the audience.
What was, of course, this was obviously it was filmed during post-COVID, during COVID. What were kind of some of the challenges of having a production come back and be one of those early productions even to come back and get to work whilst that's all going around you as well too?
I know that it definitely helped Damien actually somehow, because during the COVID break, whatever, he was able to look back and I actually want to make this scene even crazier, and that was the bedroom scene. So I think didn't they already film, saw a little bit of it, and then during the break, they added. So it actually kind of helped the film in a way, and give Damien that little bit of space to look at it from, I guess, a distance, this, doing all this Damien little things. But other than that, of course, COVID sucks. It definitely sucks, and I'm glad that it's not something that we really need to worry about too much anymore.
We'll see. It is funny because, listen, we're lucky to be actors. We're lucky to do the thing we love to do. But we're both fairly newer actors, and we we've had a lot of challenges in the
Yeah.
last couple of years with the pandemic and the strike, so it's been rough, man. It's been hard, and it sometimes will stifle your creativity when all this stuff is going on and it's out of your control. But I actually do agree with Elliot in that I do think the pandemic was a blessing in disguise, both for Damien and for us. It gave me more time to sit with the character. It gave me more time to. Which, of course, there's pros and cons to that. You know, you might get in your own head like, oh, how am I doing? Is this all right? But at the same time, you get to, you know, just explore how to dive deeper into the character. So I mean, the pandemic wasn't great, but I liked it.
Now, was there anything that was, you know, cut from the film that you wish was left in? And this goes for either one of you.
The greatest and most important scene by far in the movie that was cut was when Jonathan was playing video games. And then the whole scene, it was not an important scene at all, but I totally get why he cut it out. The whole scene was me playing video games, and Sienna walks up and says, "Jonathan, it's dinner time." I said, "I'll be there in a minute." And that's like the whole scene.
That took hours to film, by the way, because of the audio. Do you remember that? Like, and everybody started drinking at that point. Like, we were done, and you were like, "Guys, can we just?" You were like, "Guys, can we get this scene done?" And Damien's like, "Well, let me have my rum and coke first." I'm like, "Bro."
And then my records, I have for Jonathan's room. Since I'm a metalhead, I like music, music enthusiast myself. We actually were able to get some of my own records into the movie. So I had like a signed Metallica James Hetfield record in there from when I interviewed him years ago, and like a signed Slayer record in there. And one of the parts when we were filming the scene, it like fell down, and I think they got it on film when it fell down.
BTS, yeah. I think it was on BTS. Yeah, we were, especially you looked so defeated when that happened. You were like, oh, fuck, we got this again.
My records.
And they're special. It's very special, I get that.
Very, very, very special.
We love it. Well, I think we all know that the film was lengthy, to put it lightly. So I didn't necessarily think that it was missing anything. I really did trust Damien in the way he edited it, and I thought that I personally thought it had good pacing. I know that, you know, it's up for debate depending on who you're talking to. But there was a scene that Damien wanted to keep in. It was one of my panic attack scenes, and I really didn't like it. And he showed it to me, and I was like, "Damien, can you take this out, please?" And he eventually did, because I already had one or two, and I was like, "People forget it. I get panic attacks." So it was nice of him to take that out for me, because I was like, "Oh, we don't need to see it again." But yeah, I thought he did a fantastic job editing. You know, I think the movie wasn't really missing much.
His pacing severely underrated, because yes, it is like a 2-hour film, but it does not, for me watching it, does not feel like it's 2 hours.
Yeah. That's how I feel too.
Now, of course, the first movie, and then even All Hallows Eve before that, got really good responses to them. You know, Terrifier 2, were either of you prepared? Well, first of all, two parts. First of all, what was your first experience watching the final cut of the movie? And second, were either of you prepared for just how much even bigger than what the success Damien and David had with the first film? Were either of you prepared for just how it just blew up at the box office and really took everyone by storm?
Yeah, even while filming, I mean, like I said, I was a huge fan of the first Terrifier movie. I grew up as a horror fan. Filming the movie, I thought this movie was Terrifier 2 was going to be special, and so I had really high expectations. But it still exceeded, for sure. I mean, Stephen King, that's as great as it gets. I can quit and I'll be happy forever. But definitely was not prepared, and I agree. It's surreal experience, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. When Stephen King tweeted about Terrifier 2, I think we all were like, okay, we have something. I mean, we knew it anyway. But, and Damien, like I said, he's very collaborative, so he would send me scenes and, you know, takes throughout his editing process, which was like 3 years. And I was bugging him constantly, like, when's this film coming out? Like, I wanted to see it more than you guys, because we worked so hard on it. And the final cut, I think I did see a rough final cut, but I think I didn't actually see it until the premiere when we were all together. And I was actually sitting next to Damien, and I was like squeezing his hand, and I was just like looking at him like, oh my God, he was just like, eh. So it was a surreal experience, and I had no idea, not a clue. And Damien and Dave did give me an idea. He's like, "This is gonna be big. People are gonna love it." And I remember when I think it was Dave that said that, "Oh yeah, Sienna's gonna be the Batman to Art's Joker," and I was like, "Shut up! Like, there's no way." Like, it didn't occur to me. This was when I was hired, and yeah, I think he was right. I can't believe the reception we've got. I can't believe the people that come up to me and they're excited, and I'm so grateful. But I haven't comprehended it yet. It hasn't, like, it's not. I don't know what.
And it kept going on and on and on, and even now, like I said a couple weeks ago with the re-release, it did again another really great response from audiences, and gave audiences their first glimpse at the new movie coming out, which obviously you guys can't talk about. But how exciting for that! Without giving anything away, what do you think audiences can expect from this next chapter?
Gore, craziness, disturbance, all of the above. That's the best way I can describe it. I haven't seen the script yet, but I do think Damien's gonna be taking up another notch. I mean, it's a Christmas horror film. I mean, it's gonna be.
That's better than that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bloody, crazy Christmas.
Yeah, I obviously agree. It's definitely going to be bigger, bad. Art's going to be badder, bloodier. Again, can't talk about it, can't say anything about it, but I do know Damien, and I know that he is constantly trying to up his game and exceed what he's done in the past, constantly. And he's just got a beautifully sick mind. So you'll all be able to see that sometime very soon.
Cool. Well, let's open up to some audience questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand up nice and high so we can see you, and we get a microphone over to you. We'll go with you first, because your hand went up first. Yeah.
Oh, Clown Cafe Sienna. Lane!
Okay, so I know at the beginning of the movie you kind of have like a sequence where you're making the costume. Do you actually get to like help make the costume, or was that kind of just like a character thing?
Little fun thing that I did. Yeah, no, I'm not a cosplayer by any stretch of the word. I have so much respect for cosplayers. That's why seeing you in that, it just really excites me. You did an incredible job with the blood and everything. I'm, of course, like, they showed me what to do and they showed me how to look legit, and I did watch some videos. I tried to do a bit of research. I have, again, a lot of respect for cosplayers, but not the patience, the money, or the time to do it. So, no, I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
Oh, it's okay, because you just really looked like you knew what you were doing. Like, you just so good.
Thank you. Oh my god. Maybe I'll pick it up. No, I'm too lazy. Again, they made the costume. The guy who actually made the costume dropped out for some reason. This was years ago. I don't even remember. And Olga, who was our wardrobe, and Jackie, who did our hair and makeup, they would keep the costume together with literal duct tape and staples, and yeah, it was a nightmare. I told you I hate this costume. But they were always good sports about it, trying to keep me warm. They were amazing, but no, I never want to touch the costume again. I just hate it. It looks cool.
Pretend.
Yeah, but it looks very cool, but just not very practical.
Cool. We have one right over here.
Hey, so my name is Sheldon, and I met you guys back in Concord a few months back, I believe August. So I remember you guys saying you guys loved horror movies before you got into Terrifier 2. For slasher icon-wise, do you guys have a personal favorite, like maybe Jason or Leatherface or Michael or Freddy?
My girlfriend and I, who's over there, shares the same favorite horror slasher, and that is Leatherface.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's fucking phenomenal. It really depends on the day, man. I love horror. I love slashers. It depends on my mood. I could really watch all of them at any time. I mean, I love Halloween. I like 1978. Like I would watch it every year. But a fun story. I actually met Kane Hodder like 20 years ago when I was a child, and he was at like a haunted attraction in Pennsylvania, which is where I'm from. And he signed the mask for me. I still have it. It's on display in my house. I look at it every day. And I was too scared to get a picture with him. So my mom was with me at the time. She was like, oh, I'll get the picture with him. And so she did it. And then I was telling some two lovely ladies about it yesterday. So they pulled me over, and I finally got my picture with Kane yesterday. I tweeted about it if you want to see the picture. Yeah, side by side me and him, and then a side by side my mom. It's so funny because he's doing his iconic thing. My mom's just like, so cute. So yeah, I have so much respect for horror, the amount of work that actors and stunt performers, especially Kane being one of them, that put into it. So it just depends on the day. I love them all.
Cool. Next question out there. Yeah, right there, and then we'll get you next. Yeah, so you go down.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Elliot, and for you as well. I talked a lot about music with you, and so I kind of just thought of this question as I was coming into this. I have no idea what I was going to ask you. If you could have any creative control of the Terrifier 3 soundtrack, what's a song that you would like to have in the movie?
Ooh, that's a great question. How about, one that comes up immediately would be Psycho Killer from Talking Heads. Imagine like Art the Clown like doing this crazy brutal killing scene with like the radio is there, and maybe he bumps into it and then Psycho Killer starts playing. That would be phenomenal. And they can bring up the music to
Yeah, I love music. I'm not a musician by any stretch. Like Elliot over here is a brilliant musician. Check out his album on Spotify if you haven't yet. Quick plug there. God, man, you put me on the spot. I wish you would talk because obviously I've had these thoughts before. I always think the Yeah Yeah Yeahs heads will roll when Sienna does cut off. Spoiler, sorry. When Sienna does cut off Art's head, I love it. Man, I really love the White Stripes. There's this one song, I can't think of it right now, the title of it. Come to my table and I'll Google it because I forget. I can't think of it because I'm on the spot right now. Thanks very much. But yeah, man, I don't know. A lot of rock and roll I think is appropriate for this kind of rock or, like garage and stuff like that is my opinion. But I honestly think the soundtrack's great already.
Yes, I agree. But also, how about some like nice jazz? Art the Clown doesn't just like sit down and relax.
I can see him like
snapping or whatever. But also, Lauren mentioned that I'm a musician and stuff, and I think that's my pal Jeremy over there, who's a stiff member, who's a volunteer. He actually played piano on a lot of my music.
Oh, sick!
Yeah.
Hello,
Jeremy.
You're Jeremy.
Yes, just taught him about Pink Floyd. He will never stop. Pink Floyd enthusiast over there.
Love it.
Thanks, guys.
Cool. All right, and then you right there in the hat.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm the one to do that. So, I was just wondering, since the movies feature just incredible practical effects, was there anything that you saw in the movie or saw in person that just absolutely scared the shit out of you? That you're like, I don't want to be anywhere near that.
I love practical effects. I'm a huge fan of practical effects. So instead of being horrified and disgusted, I was, oh my god, that is so cool. That was my reaction for every single time. And I got to only work a little bit with it. I got a little scrape here and there or whatever. Luckily, I didn't end up like Brooker Alley. But I would say one of my favorite scenes of film was the shotgun scene when I shot at the clown. Got some extra practical effects there with the gun. That was probably my favorite scene.
Yeah, I also agree. I love practical effects, and this was probably my very first experience so up close with it, and just there were so many opportunities to be near it. I was more impressed. I think obviously I get very squeamish with like practicals and most horror films. The eye thing gets me. Like anything with eyes really messes with my brain. Because fun fact about me, my French teacher, she used to, which is terrible, when I didn't do my homework, she would be like, Lauren, I'm gonna paper cut your cornea. And I was like, what? And she was coincidentally one of my favorite teachers, but like looking back, I was like, this is borderline abuse. What is happening? But yeah, I don't know. It is a bit demystifying when you're so close to it, but at the same time, you're so impressed. You're like, what you're able to achieve on such a low budget with like a skeleton crew. So yeah, there weren't really moments of, oh, this is scary. Definitely squeamish. The eye thing might be it, but I was just impressed was the overarching feeling.
But it does help with acting for sure.
For sure.
To be able to physically see it instead of like seeing
CGI.
someone like some
Green
weird
suit?
green suit or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk a little bit about the production design for a second as well. Some of those sets, and particularly the set that you're on for the climax, for the big finale of the movie, it's almost a character in itself. Can you talk a little bit about working on some of those sets that you filmed on?
So yeah, the climax, the end scenes was filmed in a horror haunt called the Fright Factory, which is in Philly, right? And the thing that definitely added to the effect was that it was really cold in there. Because I think it was like a little, like a tiny bit underground a little bit, right?
It was a basement in February in Philly.
Yeah. So I think it added to the effect, and like you said, it was definitely like the set had a life of its own, and I think David has like some ghost stories with like the doll room.
Yeah, coming to life out of nowhere.
Yeah, so maybe the dolls in that room gave Terrifier 2 even an extra type of spark or sanity. Who knows? The film is haunted. It's haunted. Sure.
No doubt about it. Yeah, I actually really love the Fright Factory. If you're ever in the East Coast area, definitely check it out. I go there every year now. They're phenomenal. The sets were gorgeous. We barely had to set dress at all, if at all. I don't remember it. That would probably be an Olga question. But yeah, it definitely added to the atmosphere, because when you're in a low budget horror film, you don't get trailers. Like, most of the time, like, you get dressed in the room with all the creepy shit, and the dolls are staring at you, and you're just like, oh, this is my life now. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Check it out, and it definitely added to the fear that we would have to feel working through all hours of the night, which was, exhausting. Thanks.
All right, another question out there? Yeah, we got a bunch. Okay, cool. We'll get you first, and then we'll go to you next. Oh, I thought you had your hand up. Okay, over there, yeah.
Now I got one question. How was David in behind the scenes of Terrifier 2?
The sweetest dude. I think we talked a little bit about it earlier, like how in between takes you just being just completely the nicest dude, the sweetest dude. He is certainly not a killer clown in real life. When you're talking to David, he's a really cool dude. When you're talking to Art the Clown, you won't hear anything back. He's a clown. Really sweet dude, and I cannot wait to work with him for Terrifier 3.
He's a silly little guy. He really is. He's so silly. He's just he's a goofball, so he's fun to work with.
Another question out there? Yeah, go for you, and then we'll get someone over here.
So Lauren, since you said you didn't care for the costume all that much, if you could have picked a costume to have had for Sienna, what would it have been?
I love the armored aspect of it. I just wish it was a bit more mobile. And don't get me wrong, I think the costume's gorgeous. It's just not practical. It's, it's staying up with a prayer, and that's really it, like duct tape and a prayer. I don't know how I was able to move in that thing, especially now when I get photo shoots done with fans. And again, I'm very sorry I didn't show up in costume, got stuck in costumes. It's very annoying. But I'm reminded, I'm like, oh my God, this thing was so uncomfortable. I forgot, Jesus. I would have liked something with pockets, and I would have liked just something a bit more mobile. And of course, I would have loved long sleeves and pants, because we did film in February, and I would have to get hosed down and covered in blood a lot of the time. So I'm wearing a bikini, practically, an armored bikini. But I do love the armored aspect. If I could have still armor, fully covered, pockets, I'm golden. Perfect. Good question.
I think you have a question right there.
So I know you guys haven't read so I know you don't know anything about the script yet, you haven't read it, but where do you two personally want your characters to go to next?
Oh man. Ooh. I would love Jonathan to be kind of traumatized by it all, because I've always wanted to play someone that's kind of losing it I think that'd be a fun character to play. And I'm just interested to see what Damien has in store for Jonathan and Sienna, just to see how it all unfolds. And yeah, I think he should be fairly traumatized after his mom dies and getting chased by a killer clown. I think traumatized.
Trauma. Isn't that what horror is about? So I actually have read the script, even though I'm not officially attached to the project. Damien and I are very close, so he'll, send me stuff, he like my thoughts sometimes. So I do know what's in store for the characters. I'm not going to tell you. What I will say, and this is the same thought I had, whether or not this is true, I actually fully agree with what Elliot's saying. I would have loved, and I told Damien this, but I'm not the writer. I would love to see Elliot go through like full traumatic experiences. Like I was like, make him a drinker now. He's got trauma he's got to deal with, and he's gonna have vices, okay? And I really wanted to see Sienna kind of step into that maternal role, and I really want like a scene with Sienna doing pull-ups. Like she should be doing fucking push-ups. She's training for the next time. That's what I wanted to see. Whether or not that happens, I can't tell you.
And I think we can fit in one more question. We'll go with you right here.
Hey.
Yo, Charlie.
Yep. So really a question for you, and if Ellie, if you have any, now that the strike is over, if you can say anything, how do you feel about the well? And then Ellie, if you have anything in the way.
Oh, The Well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, it's so funny. It's such an interesting experience being an actor, right? You do your work, you come to set, you do your best, and then it's out of your hands. There's nothing you can do after that. And you never know what take they're going to use. So, I mean, I'll come with options, and then it might turn out completely different than what I was expecting. It's such an interesting experience. It really is, like, you do your part, and then that's it. Jeff Daniel Phillips saw it, and you can ask him what he thought about it, because he came up and told me about it, and he was like, oh, I saw The Well. I was like, what'd you think? And he was like, I was like, cool, man. Thanks for that. Love it. Yeah, so I'm actually very excited about seeing it, though, because I got to work with Claudia Giannini, who's an incredible Italian actress, and some really wonderful other actors that I got to work with, and some American actors as well. And there's a lot of possibles. Federico Zampaglione, he's the director, and he is a huge fan of Terrifier, and he's a huge fan of Damien. And I think he really wanted to. I think he felt challenged to use the practicals. It will approach a more sinister. Well, I mean, Art the Clown is sinister. Sinister and slow burning horror, and then when it hits the ground running. It's absolutely bonkers. From what I remember reading the script. Hopefully it translates that way, but I guess we'll see. I have no idea when it will be out or anything, because the actor is always the last person to find out, but hopefully soon.
I did a fun, it was a SAG approved during the strike, so the SAG approved the filming of it. A anthology horror movie called The Pitchfork Retreat, which was very, very fun to film, and practical effects, which was really cool. And the scenes that I filmed, very, very crazy, gruesome, and I have no clue when it's going to be coming out. But when it does come out, keep an eye out for it, because I'll be in it.
I will. I'll keep an eye out for it, man. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you both for being here again this weekend and for taking part in this Q&A today. It's always a pleasure to talk with you both.
It was so good seeing you again. Thank you. And thank you guys so much for your time. We love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lauren